Hello, everybody. My name is Shigatura, and today I'm going to be going over a Fallout 3 any percent no-hit tutorial, a route using the Alien Blaster. I have here some footage that I've pre-recorded, as well as some footage of my previous any percent, as well as another run I've recently done, in order to show you folks some options that you can take in your routing. As Fallout 3 is a very flexible game due to some of the RNG spawns that can occur, which we'll get to when they're relevant here. So it's very good to be prepared for some of the different things that occur, and having different examples here will help illustrate that a little better. Before you do this run, there is a small amount of setup that you're going to need to do. Mainly, you are going to have to go into your data files in the Fallout 3 launcher and uncheck Mothership Zeta. And while you're there, you may as well uncheck all the other DLCs just to get rid of the pop-ups right at the start of the game. That way you don't get warped into Mothership Zeta when we go to grab the Alien Blaster in a little bit here. I start this run using the starting save location that the speedrunning community uses, which is on first point of movement after creating a character. When it comes to the initial character creation section, the only thing you need to know is that we do want to pick a girl that is relevant to the run, slightly.
Come on over here, sweetie. Come on. Walk
The vault is not too complicated of a segment, but there are some small things and some small time saves that can get you through the early vault segments faster and make resetting a little bit less
I
painful.
know you don't like it when Daddy leaves you alone, but I need you to take care of yourself for a minute. You just stay here while Daddy runs to his office.
With that being said, as far as our special stats go, we will not be needing a lot of some of the special stats, so we get a very lopsided character. In this case, we are going to be going for 0 strength. Strength only affects melee weapons as a skill in Fallout 3, so we do not need it for anything, and we have plenty of carry weight for what we need to carry. Perception is going to stay at 5. Endurance dumped to 1 as well. Charisma, I don't do it there, but in a second I'll move it back down to 4. We need Charisma at least at 4 for the Child at Heart perk later on. That is going to be very important. Intelligence up to 9. We would put it up to 10, however, we will be getting the Intelligence bobblehead very early, thus not requiring us to put it at 10, saving us an extra point to put somewhere else. Agility at 10. Agility affects your base sneak, as well as your base AP, both of which are situationally useful. AP not as much. VATS can be a good get-out-of-jail-free card, but ideally you want to be killing enemies without having to go into VATS, as getting stuck in VATS time can get you hit very easily. And the remaining points will go in luck. As I said, I'll fix that there. And that. So our final special spread will be 1, 5, 1, 4, 9, 10, and 10. We're going to speed this up just a little bit for the opening segment here.
You are quite.
Don't want to have to make you watch all of this vault segment.
Right for trying to pin you in. Come on over here.
The next section is very simple. We just wait for Dad. Dialogue. Thank you, Liam Neeson. After this section, wait for the Overseer to get done talking. Do Amada's dialogue. We're gonna walk up, make sure that we trigger Andy's dialogue there to cut the cake. That kind of continues the birthday sequence. After that, we can wait over here. No need to talk to Butch or anything like that, so there's no risk of him punching you or hitting you. And there's pretty much no risk in this section. Do it as normal. Come down here. have a chat with Jonas and your father, shoot the 3 targets, shoot the rad roach, just as you would in a vanilla
Good
playthrough.
work. Hey, Jonas, get a picture of me with a big game hunter.
Always remember to stay hydrated in your runs.
Smile. Boys and girls, different parts. Beginning now.
And then this section, you do not have to take the full goat. If you are not aware, you can skip it and pick your perks individually. No need to worry about Butch and Amata, because, once again, no reason to take the small chance of getting hit. You want to tell Mr. Brosh you're feeling sick. Tell him that you don't want to take the stupid test. Tell him the Overseer's bullshit makes your head spin. And then just pick any of those options to be given the tag skills menu. And as far as tag skills, we will be tagging energy weapons, as that's what we'll be using for most of the run. Science, as we'll need a science skill of 50 to bypass Murder Pass later. As well as sneak, because not getting seen is very good for not getting hit. Pretty simple. Self-explanatory there.
Wake up! Come on, wake up!
Here, you're just going to go through Amata's dialogue. Just pick the top option in all of them. I would recommend grabbing those stim packs out of this first aid kit.
Don't wait for me.
Now, for this section, we want to pull out our fists and basically spam the punch button. The reason for this is NPCs cannot talk to you while you are punching. Thus, meaning both the Vault officer there and Butch cannot pull you into dialogue, potentially stopping you and letting a rad roach hit you. Also, it's just faster, and faster is pretty good. So we just spam punch all the way from our bedroom through the atrium door. Once you're through here, you can put your fists away. You do move slightly faster with your fists away versus held out. When you come to the top of the stairs here, you want to watch the compass indicators in the bottom left to see where exactly the rad roaches are, or at least get a general idea. The rad roaches in the vault segment can hit you, however, they are very slow and don't tend to jump very far. So as long as you space away from them and you're running, you should not have to worry about getting hit by a rad roach. However, do not run directly past a rad roach. They can and will hit you. As you can see, I move out of the way of that one. See that one over there, move out of the way of it. As we come through the admin room here, there's a couple more rad roaches. They can be in all kinds of different spots. One of the big characteristics of this game is that enemies move around a lot. You will have consistent amounts of enemies, but what exactly they are and where exactly they are tends to change quite a bit. So always be aware when you're going through rooms like this of where exactly the rad roaches are spawning, so you don't run on top of one and take a hit. We're going to run up to this corner, run right past it, open your Pip-Boy. We're going to equip the 10mm pistol, spam the VATS button as you come out of the menu. We're going to pump every single VATS shot into his right leg. This means that even if we somehow do not kill him with the bullets we're shooting, his leg will be crippled and we can then run around him. Usually, you shouldn't miss enough to not kill him in that segment, though. Very importantly, we're going to loot Jonas for his Vault Lab jumpsuit, I believe it's called. Very easy lockpick, shouldn't be that difficult if you've done the lockpicking minigame in Fallout before. In this locker, very important are both the Mentats and the Overseer terminal password. You can hack the terminal and not take the password if you want the 20 XP. Ideally, in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, you want to be as low of a level as possible in order to spawn the weakest versions of enemies that you can. So it's not really a make or break difference with the 20 XP you get from cracking the terminal, but it is worth mentioning. So now here, we're just going to open the tunnel, come down here, fast forward a little bit. There are more rad roaches down here, same as before. Just don't run right next to them and you should be okay. Run out here, pop the vault door, wait for the vault door to open, and pop on out. And we're going to be heading straight to Megaton. This pathing is pretty simple. There's nothing to worry about from the vault to Megaton. You will always get 200 XP by completing Escape, which will always get you a level. Usually catching you in the air. Not always. That doesn't really matter. It's just kind of funny. For this first level up, we're going to pretty much dump everything into energy weapons. Oh, sorry. For the first level up, you can see I'm thinking here a little bit. This tutorial that I'm doing is a slight adjustment of the version of the route that I ran when I got my run. However, I think this version of the route is slightly cleaner. But we're going to be getting science up to 43. We want it to be 45 for the Terminator. That lab coat we got will give us +5 science. So with the intelligence bobblehead, which will give us +2 science, we'll be at 45. So we only need 43. We'll also be passing by a big book of science later on, and I'll point it out when we get there. So if you want, you can take science to 42, but the one skill point isn't really going to make that much of a difference. So we're going to put the 43 into science, and then the rest into energy weapons. For our first level, we'll be taking Black Widow. That gives us plus 10% damage to all male characters. We will not be doing any Black Widow dialogue checks in this route. However, the Enclave is almost entirely made up of men, therefore that bonus damage is very helpful during the endgame sequence. Now we're just going to run up into Megaton, come down here. What you're going to do is come left of the bomb and into the shack here. Pop a crouch and hack the brass lantern terminal. If you are not familiar with the hacking minigame in the Fallout games, basically what you're going to do is you're going to look for these brackets here to remove duds, to make the minigame as easy as possible, and then after that, you're going to select one of the words. It'll tell you how many letters match up with the actual password, and then you basically just use that information to figure out what it actually is. You can also brute force this minigame, which we'll be showing later when I do the 50 science terminal we'll do later. This one I like to just do because usually it's pretty easy. It kind of bullied me a little bit, so we're going to fast forward here from me failing the minigame once. Do not use all 4 of your attempts. If you use 3, close out of the terminal and reopen it. If you use all 4 of your attempts, you'll be locked out of the terminal and can no longer hack it. So only use the first 3, close the terminal, reopen it, and your allowance or your attempts will refresh, but the whole puzzle will reset as well. So once that's unlocked, let me go back there. Once that is unlocked, you're going to pop open the floor safe using the unlock floor safe thing there. Crack it open for 300 caps, which we'll be using later. After that, come up over to the bomb. We're going to use those mentats that we got in the vault to give us 5 extra perception, which is enough explosive skill to defuse the bomb. That will give us an XP dump, as well as an additional 100 caps.
You want something?
You don't have to press E on Lucas Sims there. He'll grab you with his dialogue. We're going to dump that entire level into energy weapons. And for this level, the perk doesn't inherently matter, but Thief is the best bet. It just gives you another 5 sneak. It's not very much. And you could pick something else, but none of the other options do anything. So the 5 sneak is helpful, at least. Now we're going to come over here. We are going to the hidden rock behind Megaton at the moment. There are a total of 4 mole rats back here. There's one up here on the right. You want to just pop them with a 10mm. Try and stay as far back as you can. Mole rats will always charge pretty much straight at you. And you can just spam away the 10mm, get a bunch of headshots, and with your 10 luck, you should eventually crit them and blow their head off. Mole rats are probably the coziest overworld enemy to get. These spawns are guaranteed to be mole rats every time, though. Once you've killed all the mole rats, you're going to come up to this rock with the 3 trees and loot everything in there. The notable loot in there, and the reason we looted it, is specifically the Stealth Boy, which we will have many opportunities to make use of Stealth Boys, I'll be showing you some mostly Stealth Boy-less strats, but I'll be pointing out situations where you pretty much do the same strats, but you pop a Stealth Boy for extra safety. Generally just makes any given section a little comfier, a little safer. After we've done that, now it is time for us to get to the Alien Blaster. Now, during this running section, we are also going to talk about the way overworld spawns work in Fallout 3. Overworld spawns in Fallout 3 are very interesting and somewhat different than, let's say, Fallout New Vegas' overworld spawns. Fallout 3 has different locations in which it spawns enemies. Some enemies are static, like these ants here. These spawns right here... Oh, did not mean to back that up. Hold on. Technical difficulties. Oopsies. Here we go. Back to the ants. So, these up here, these two spawns are always going to be ants. They're always ants. They spawn in approximately the same location. Two of them right here. And in this case, the ants do not aggro the player, or well, they aggro the player, sorry. What I'm trying to say is they cannot catch up to the player. They are too slow. These are not fire ants, so they won't shoot fire projectiles at you. So you shouldn't have to worry too much. The other kind of overworld spawn, however, pulls from a random pool that is dependent on the player level. Meaning if you're doing runs outside of any percent, it's recommended you do your overworld exploring at an earliest level as possible, because the higher level you get, the worse the enemies in that pool get. And oh boy, does it get pretty bad at the higher levels. At the level that we're going to be doing all of our overworld exploring at, there are 3 options for overworld spawns. That is a vicious mongrel, a mole rat, and a bloatfly. It is recommended as you're going through the overworld to crouch, as well as abuse the fact that Fallout 3's third-person FOV is absolutely insane. If you use the scroll wheel, you can scroll all the way back out to get the max third-person FOV, and then press F to toggle out and in to that third-person FOV without having to scroll all the way again every time. Very useful for watching for enemies, as well as watching for the pips on your compass. About this. Now, this running section is, I would say, just in general, the overworld running sections are the least consistent part of the run, because the enemies change every time. Sometimes you'll just get mole rats, which are ideal. Sometimes you'll get dogs, which are very fast. And sometimes you'll get bloatflies, which have ranged attacks and are very hard to hit consistently without getting close, which makes them pretty likely to hit you. So what you'll see here is in this footage here, I get aggroed by a dog. It took me a minute to notice the dog aggroing me, and by the time I already noticed it, I tried to simply spam it. Forgot to leave third person, missed a bunch of shots, and the dog hit me. That is something that can very easily happen if you're not focusing, paying attention, or being careful. If you were going to go over to my actual run here, and you can see the exact same section here. I'm going to mute it so that I don't have to hear myself. You can see we go past the ants and come up here. This time, though, I don't remember actually. Do I get aggroed here? Or if I don't believe I got aggroed on this particular attempt. No, I didn't. But as you can see, that's the general pathing you want to do for that section. The enemies will change. That one, specifically that dog, can be any of the pool, as mentioned before. And for this running section, this path is, I would say, decently tight on how you want to take it. There's quite a few groups of raiders, but as long as you follow this pathing, you should be okay. You'd rather take the random enemy than a group of raiders that are going to have guns and are going to hurt. So we're going to walk past there. We're going to walk up to the third pole on the right here of this overpass and go straight under it. We're going straight north towards the alien blaster right now. We'll just pass under here. This is mostly cozy. As we're going up here, you're going to want to stay to the right of this building, but not too far right. There's a mole rat that spawns near this house in this clip. I believe this can be other enemies. However, it seems to like to be a mole rat. Some of them seem to almost always be one enemy, and then sometimes not be. In this case, it was a mole rat. I believe I've seen a dog here as well, which leads me to believe it can also be a bloatfly. In this situation, I kill it. If you move a little more right, you can avoid aggroing it sometimes. However, as you can see up here, there are raiders to the right. If waiting for when I pan over to look at them. I remembered I did. Right? Don't make me a liar past me. Okay, past me. There we go. As you could see there... Man, I looked over for like half a second. But it's kind of hard to see in this footage, but there's a raider up there. There's a raider over here somewhere as well. You generally just want to stick to the left, favor the left once you get up this hill to avoid aggroing them. They do have guns. They will shoot you. Getting hit is bad. Then as we're going up here, we're going to be passing by this train yard. We're pretty much just going to be walking along it, along the side of it. Nothing too crazy here. Now up here, we're going to get to Minefield. Now Minefield is a little scary. You would think we would want to go around Minefield. The problem with going around Minefield is if you go left, there are super mutants. If you go right, there are raiders. If we go down the middle, all we have to deal with is little old Arkansas, and he's kind of, you know, not the most perceptive. He's decently perceptive. Not the most perceptive, though. We're going to go to the right of Minefield here. As long as we don't walk into the city proper, from this side, Arkansas will not aggro us. We want to be careful here. In that direction that I'm gesturing is a random encounter location. I tend to find if it spawns one of the two melee enemies, they won't catch you. However, a bloatfly that spawns there will almost always aggro you. And that can be quite scary. So always be very aware of that. Also be careful not to go too far to the right. As you can see there, there's a mine on the road that we want to avoid. See it right there. You can see the compass pip as well, which disappeared right there, but there it is again. There's something over there. In this particular clip, it doesn't come and aggro me, but if it's a bloatfly, it usually will. Now up here is the building where Arkansas is at. You can sneak past Arkansas. However, consistently doing it is a little sketchy. In this particular clip, I don't sneak past him. I still don't get hit, though, because he tends to be a bad shot. But if you want to be more careful, you can watch in the windows to see when Arkansas is not looking out the back here, and then go the run. In this clip, I just decided to run, and you'll see I have to employ the backup strat of run the fuck away. Get up here. Caution. Danger. You can see he sees me. Usually if you just run, get behind this rock as fast as you can, Arkansas won't actually end up hitting you. He can. Not to say it won't happen. But if he does see you there, because of bad timing, or he awkwardly turns around, even though you've looked and seen that he wasn't looking that way, just book it behind that rock. And coming up is an important other thing to note about overworld travel in Fallout 3, and that is random encounter locations. There are quite a few locations in this game that are designated for random encounters, and they pull from a quite large pool of encounters. Some friendly NPCs, some traders, some very hostile enemies, including sometimes Deathclaws. There is quite a big pool, and they can be quite a lot of different things. We are going to be going very close to a random encounter location. However, we will be barely avoiding it. Right across the crest of this hill that we're coming up on is a random encounter spawn. Just over the top of this hill right here. Just below that in there are some dogs. Now you might think, oh, well, we'll go around it. There's raiders with guns on the bridge and road behind my webcam. You go up to the left, there are mole rats. You can absolutely deal with the mole rats. So if you have a random encounter here that is sketchy and you don't want to go too close to it, always prefer going more left. Although you will have to deal with 2 consistent mole rat spawns. These spawns are always mole rats. As you can see, I walk up on the hill. I'm trying to figure out what the random encounter is. This time we have some group of dudes. I could not tell what hostile group that is. They look like Talon Company to me from here, but I honestly can't tell. And I couldn't VATS them to find out. So you can usually get away with going up this rock. There's the dog that I was just mentioning. The dog is a guaranteed spawn. Usually it fights the random encounter. Sometimes the random encounter will be another dog, and then it will not fight the random encounter. As you can see, there's the mole rat up there. Once you hit the rads, you can go ahead and uncrouch and start booking it to the ship. You're pretty much safe at that point. We're going to be hopping down here and grabbing all of the alien power cells as well as the alien blaster. Now, the alien power cells are a little buggy. As you can see, they're kind of clipping in the ground. You're going to have to kind of move your crosshair around to actually pick all of them up. You know you have all of them when you have 110 in reserve and 10 in the clip for the alien blaster. Once we've done that, we're going to head on back to Megaton. Here is me checking some save stuff. So, now we're going to go on our way to Rivet City. Now, and while we're going to Rivet City, we're going to be grabbing some notable locations that we'll be using later in the run. Like I said, we're going to be getting most of our map exploration out of the way nice and quickly, nice and early. There's a random encounter spawn up on this hill. You will hear a mole rat in a second. There he is. You can see he almost hits me. That's why you have to be very aware. In this particular footage, took a path that was a little bit left than I normally do. These rocks are a little bit hard to tell exactly where you're at. Also want to be careful to the right because there is another random overworld enemy in this direction. If it's a dog, it can really see you and run you down pretty good. So be aware of that. There's also another random enemy located over here, up in this fence. Today it was a mole rat. Once again, it pulls from the random pool of 3 that we talked about before. Can be a blowfly, can be a dog. Deal with them accordingly. Usually, if it's a blowfly, you want to shoot at it from behind the fence. Hopefully, you can use the fence to block any shots that it does take. Whereas dog, you just kind of gun it down. Now that we have an alien blaster, we don't have to worry about burning 10,000 bullets to kill something. Any enemy that we shoot at, as far as those 3, is going to die in one hit. Because the alien blaster is a fantastically good gun. After that, we're going to run down the coast here, right past Wilhelm's Wharf. Past this sign here, we're going to head towards the bridge, jump in the water. We're going to not go across the bridge. There is a raider ambush up there we do not want to deal with. Simply swim underneath this pillar of the bridge, then walk up here and discover the Citadel. It's very important that we actually get this fast travel location. Once we've done that, we're going to walk down the Citadel coast up to this pier. Then we're going to jump on off of it and swim over to the Jefferson Memorial. Nothing too bad as far as enemies there that you have to worry about. In general, water travel tends to be pretty safe, considering the only water enemy in Fallout 3 is a Mirelurk, and they cannot attack you while in the water. So, water is generally a very safe place to be. We're going to walk around the Jefferson Memorial. It's important that we do not go up this ledge, because there are super mutants pretty much 10 feet from here. They won't see you, as long as you stay down here and don't peek your head up. We will be killing them, though, once we wrap around here. It's just easier to engage them from the other side. So we will simply wrap around Jefferson here. Once we get up to here, you want to be careful and watch this mutant. Here, I did not be careful and third person and watch the mutant. As you can see, he aggroes me, which is not good. If he has a gun, he can very easily shoot you there. So you want a third person, look over, watch for him. Make sure he's turned around, then peek over and kill him. But, you know, in an emergency, you can also do what I just did there. Works relatively well at that range, so you can usually get a VATS hit without much of an issue. As long as you're killing in one hit, VATS is safe, assuming nothing else is aggroed. You have enough energy weapons that your alien blaster is very accurate, so you can pretty much pick these guys off from as comfortable of a range as you want to. Do mind the collision of everything here. Fallout 3, as you will see plenty of times if you run this game, has some very large collision hitboxes on the environments. So always err on the side of caution when you see a gap that you're trying to shoot through. Assume the wall extends out further than it looks, because it probably does. Now that we've killed these three on top, there's going to be one more over the edge. You want to be careful with him. He can be facing up here like this guy was now. As long as you're fast enough, he shouldn't kill you, though. Now that they're dead, you should be good. Here, I just checked to make sure I didn't forget anything. Always a good idea. Sometimes you miscount. Once we've done that, we're going to retrace our steps back over here and head to Rivet City. We want to make sure we give a wide berth to the super mutant camp up over here. If you see a super mutant kind of walking towards the edge, or if they're fighting a trade caravan that can sometimes spawn here, I would recommend swimming through the water and around instead of up on here. Just slightly safer, very minor variation. So we're going to come on up to Rivet City. Hit the intercom here. Pop on in.
Hold it right.
Just go through Hargus's dialogue, spam through it, doesn't matter. Then we're going to quickly head to the science lab to grab our intelligence bobblehead for the extra skill point every level. Because it's 1-to-1 in Fallout 3. Every one intelligence gives you 1 skill point, as well as the 2 extra science we will need for that advanced terminal later. Once we've done that, this is an optional step that I would recommend taking if you're feeling a little bit sketchy about some sections. This allows you to get 3 additional stealth boys that you wouldn't otherwise get, with relatively minimal risk and relatively minimal time loss. If you're struggling with getting these stealth boys, you can also burn the stealth boy in Megaton for this section to make it very, very free and very comfortable. Here I'll be showing you the stealth boy lists method, which takes me a couple goes here to show correctly. Make sure you grab some air up here so that you don't drown or get stuck like that. Now swim up through here and there will be 2 Mirelurks. and I messed up a couple times trying to kill them optimally. So don't mind that. Here's the correct way to do it. You can use VATS if you feel uncomfortable or if you feel like one of them's too close. Do not shoot upstairs. There is gas up here and it can explode. Make sure to defuse that mine and hit this switch to leave in a second. Then carefully walk over here and disarm this tripwire. If you do not, grenades will fall and blow you up, and it will be very sad. Once you've done that, do not interact with that terminal. Instead, hit the switch over here. And we have found Pinkerton's room. Now, I accidentally got caught stealing, so I had to do it one more time. Don't get caught stealing, either. That's not good. Don't be me. Basically is what I'm telling you. But once we're in Pinkerton's area here, make sure he's not detecting you, or he will take your stealth boys back. But there is one stealth boy in this crate. There's one on this shelf. And there is one on this desk, along with a Dean's Electronics and Big Book of Science, for 1 repair and 1 science, respectively. I didn't pick up the Dean's repair, or Dean's Electronics, rather, because you don't really need the repair. I grabbed the science book, but didn't use it because I already had enough. Like I said, you can go to 42 science earlier on and not have to worry, because you get the science book, but it's... The 1 extra energy weapons earlier on isn't going to help you much. Now, with this bit, this took me a bit to find the correct route again, because I have changed routes recently, so it took me a minute. So let's find the good run. There are a couple of ways to path to this. We are going to be heading to Smith Casey's. This is correct. Okay. In my previous run, is this the right one? In my successful run, I took a route that took you all the way down to Tenpenny Tower, which I will not be showing all of here, but it is, I would say, a safer route than the one I'm going to show you. However, this running section, either way, is going to be the worst running section of the run. There's a lot of random spawns out here. There's a lot of raiders in awkward places, and we're basically running right past Evergreen Mills. So it's a little sketchy, but you can either go down this way and over to Tenpenny. I will leave a link to this run in the description of this video if you want to fully see this running section. But for today, we're going to be going over this version of the running section, which is more direct to Smith Casey's, which is where we will be picking up the main quest in just a minute. So we go into Smith Casey's, then a little lamplight. We're going to go over the side of the vault from Vault 101. There is a random spawn up here. As you can see, it is a mole rat today. However, once again, that's a random spawn. Can be any of the 3 we've mentioned before. There is also a dog to the right here on the hill. I believe it aggroes momentarily. This spawn, I also believe, pulls from the random pool, so it can be any of the 3 mobs that we have mentioned before. As I said, there's a lot in this run that involves watching enemy locations and hoping you get good RNG. You can deal with any given spawn in any given location. However, some of them are a lot more tricky than others, and some of them can be a lot scarier than others. So a lot of awareness is really important for this run. Definitely recommend practicing these sections quite a bit before you start doing runs, which sounds kind of tedious, but it's really going to be worth getting some practice with the different scenarios. Make sure we stay left of this road here. The raider group that passes through here is right there. If you're traveling in daytime, you'll need to be even more left than this. I recommend doing this section at nighttime, because that does affect enemy visibility. And while it's a little harder for you to see, you can deal with it, whereas the enemies get actual lesser percentage or perception range. So that's always nice. But we're going to head southwest here. We're not quite going over to Fort Independence, which is just to the left there, but we're taking this path here. We're going to be heading from here to that section of broken overpass. Once again, just always be wary of random spawns. Things wander and things get in weird spots, and it's always good to just be as alert as you can be. You can see there's some compass ticks over there. I believe they were mole rats today. I can't remember if it's 1 or 2. It's just 1. As you can see, the running sections can be very scary. Simply because of the amount of randomness. So be careful. Dogs are your biggest threat. They're going to run at you very fast. If you're running this on PC, I would recommend capping your FPS to 60, because capping your FPS to 60 makes the enemies not move at 10 bajillion miles an hour. Physics are tied to frame rate in Fallout 3, New Vegas, and 4. And accelerated physics make it a lot harder to deal with stuff. Now that we've gotten up here, we're going to follow this overpass. We're going to follow it while hanging slightly to the right of it. Just carefully looking out, making sure nothing's around. So we're going to follow this overpass to the right. We do not want to go too far to the right, because we are basically going in between the overpass on the left and Evergreen Mills on the right. We're pretty much just going to be going this way, following the right of the overpass. There's this little path here that you can kind of walk up, go up this hill. You see that, if you see that marker right there on the map that isn't filled out, that's going to be Evergreen Mills. We do not want to jump into Evergreen Mills. Thankfully, it's in kind of a little indent, so we can stay up on the hill to the left here and be fine. Like I said, we just continue going this way. Once we're past Evergreen Mills, we're going to crest over the hill and come over to Smith Casey's. There's some bloatflies here over to the right and left. It's kind of a pick your poison situation. Whichever bloatflies you think you're going to have an easier shot on, go for them. Usually one or the other group will aggro you. You can see this one hit me in this little demonstration here. So don't give bloatflies the respect they deserve, is what I'm trying to say. There are 2 mole rats over there. Those are guaranteed mole rat spawns. They can aggro to you. You can sneak past them, but you're usually going to have to kill them anyway, because they'll prevent you from fast traveling out of Smith Casey's later, so you may as well just kill them now. Try to be a little bit more conservative on Alien Blaster ammo than that. It's important that every shot counts, because you only have a couple rounds, and it can get tight towards the end of a run. After that, we're going to loop behind Smith Casey's, and it's a little hard to see at night, but we're going to be looking for a radio beacon on the horizon here. Once again, hard to see, but it's right here. We're going to be going up to that. You can see the gate for it right here. We're going to be pathing through this gate. This is, in my experience, the best pathing from Smith Casey's to Little Lamplight. Through the gate. Then we're going to pop out the other side. There is a very interesting encounter here where one of the random spawned overworld enemies will run into a mine. There's the mine. Today it was a mole rat, can also be a dog. I've seen 2 dogs spawn here before as well. Not sure why 2 can spawn sometimes. just Fallout 3 things. So be very alert when you're coming around here that there isn't a second dog somewhere nearby. After you kill it, you're going to go up the hill this way. We're going to be staying to the left of the road. Following the road leads to multiple super mutant encounters. We're going to be coming to the left. There's a nice little path to get up the hill up here. On top of this hill, there is another random encounter location. Or not random encounter location, let me rephrase that. Random enemy spawn. One of our 3. This particular pass, it was a bloatfly. I recommend crouching somewhere around here, sneaking, because things can see you from quite far away in these games sometimes. So just be careful. Take it out nice and easily. Once you've done that, you want to stay to the right, as close to this cliff edge as possible. There are more random enemy spawns to the left side of here. And the super mutants down below on the right here shouldn't aggro to you from up here. They're too busy dealing with Rabid Brahmin. You can see even a compass marker there for a second, showing one of the random spawns over there. So you do have to be alert, but as long as you stick on the edge of the cliff, you shouldn't have to worry. And thankfully, this brings us to the end of our overworld adventures. We go ahead and walk up here, discover the lamplight, and we're going to head back to Smith Casey's. Waters of Life, or sorry, not Waters of Life, following in his footsteps. Thankfully, not too bad of a little quest to wrap up here. We simply go in here, there are going to be 2 mole rats. These mole rats can be pretty much anywhere in this room. You want to watch the compass markers, see exactly where they are. They can be back behind these cars. They can be close over here on the right. They can even sometimes be really close on the door. So always be very careful where the mole rats are, because they can run at you very fast. We're going to take both of them out. Up here, you don't have to worry about the rad roach in the previous room. It won't be an issue. Electrical switch. Opens the secret passage. There's going to be 1 mole rat up top here. And another roaming mole rat that will be in some location down here usually. I have had him all the way up here once, though. So, once again, be aware. Enemies like to roam surprisingly far. So, they can reasonably be anywhere that doesn't involve opening another door, usually. And if they're human enemies, they can also be somewhere that involves opening another door. So, this one can be under the stairs, on the stairs, anywhere. He can be next to the door. All that fun stuff. Today, he's down and to the left here. So you can see aggro's right there. That right there is all of the enemies in Smith Casey's that we have to worry about. So we can now run straight into the vault. The vault is relatively small, not too bad to navigate. We're gonna pretty much go through the doors. Robot's gonna give us the jumpsuit, which we do have to put on to enter the Tranquility Lounger. So come on up. That is the one that you're going to need to enter.
Hello, ma'am.
Pop yourself into Tranquility Lane. One of my favorite sections of Fallout 3. Although, for this run, we're not really going to be doing all the fun stuff that you can do in Tranquility Lane. Little blip, a little Betty jump scare there on the screen. Nice little detail. But once we wake up in Tranquility Lane, we're immediately going to go over to the abandoned house and put in the failsafe protocol. The code is radio, pitcher, gnome, pitcher, cinderblock, gnome, Nuka-Cola. Once you're in here, you'll notice that you won't be able to immediately trigger the failsafe. You have to hit the program documentation first. Once you do, you can initiate the Chinese invasion failsafe and leave Tranquility Lane. These bullets will not hit the player, so you can just run straight through. Don't have to worry about accidentally getting hit by strays. there. You could just immediately exit Tranquility Lane. Nice and fast. Make sure you come on over and talk to Liam Neeson. Just go through the top option of his dialogue until you get the big dialogue box and exit it. For level 4 here, we're going to dump energy weapons once again. And then we're going to be taking Child at Heart. This is very important that we get Child at Heart. After that, we're just going to exit back out of Vault 112 and fast travel to Rivet City. Once we go to Rivet City, we're going to go back to the science lab, the same spot we got our intelligence bobblehead. Come down here, wait an hour. That will spawn Liam Neeson in, already having done his conversation with Dr. Lee, allowing us to immediately head over to the Jefferson Memorial. And because we cleared the super mutants outside, they will still be dead, meaning once we leave Rivet City, we can simply fast travel back over without much of an issue. Once we do, you're going to want to wait 1 hour. That will bring Liam and crew over. We want to look specifically for the NPC named Garza. There he is right there. That's what he looks like. We're going to make sure we kill him now, specifically. Sometimes it'll be difficult to find him. You can wait to kill him. However, I highly recommend you just do it now and get it out of the way, because if you kill him later, NPCs sort of freak out and you can get some weird bugs. You can get awkward situations where Colonel Autumn tries to shoot someone in the purifier 50 times and misses because they're still fleeing from you killing Garza. So just to be safe, kill him now. That way, they'll stop freaking out by the time the game needs them to stand in specific positions. Once in here, the super mutants are pretty much everywhere. The amount of them is consistent, and their locations mostly consistent, although they can roam. However, what spawns on any given location is somewhat random. You can get normal super mutants, you can get centaurs, and there are certain ones that will spawn brutes. Brutes can take multiple shots to kill and can be a little scary. So when we get to some of the brutes, just be a little bit extra careful. Be ready to shoot them twice if need be, because sometimes you'll need to. The other thing to know about fighting super mutants in the Jefferson Memorial, and this is very important, in Fallout 3 and New Vegas, but for purposes of Fallout 3, you can hit enemies' weapons out of their hands. Now, this is a very cool mechanic when you're playing casually. However, in a run like this, it can suck. Because if you hit the gun, you, number one, alert them to your presence, so you lose your sneak attack. Number two, your shot does damage to the gun, and not the thing you're trying to kill. So you want to be very careful when you're aiming your sneak attacks to not shoot at a holstered weapon on the back of a super mutant, and to try and avoid shooting where their gun is if it is pulled out in front of them. Ideally, you don't have a situation where an enemy has a weapon pulled out fully while standing in front of you, but in general, that's what you really want to try and be careful of. And once again, always remember the walls are a little sketchy. It's also an optional Stealth Boy location if you're having trouble with this section. This is one of the places where you could potentially use a Stealth Boy. However, I'll be showing you without a Stealth Boy here. There's always going to be that one at the entrance. There's going to be another one fighting this turret. The one that's fighting this turret has been a centaur quite a bit for me, but not always. Sometimes it's just a normal super mutant. In this particular instance, he was over here. Most of the time, he'll be in this room. This particular attempt was a little strange. I'll show you the footage of my successful run here. As you can see, in this attempt, he was in the side room over here. This tends to be where he usually is at. Most of the time, he'll be here. As you can see, that time he wasn't. Another point of knowing how many enemies are in a location, very important because they can move and it can get a little scary if you've lost track. As you can see, even here, I'm like making sure that that was the right enemy that I killed. That guy, take him out. He's usually there chilling on the right and will walk into vision there. There's a guy here to the left. Once again, the count of enemies is consistent. There's going to be another one standing in the middle here. And then one more somewhere on this side of the wall. Sometimes he'll be close, sometimes he'll be a little further back. Take him out. Once you've done that, I recommend doing the Rotunda clear next. There are 2 spawns in the Rotunda. First one here on the left is the scariest. I recommend crouching around the pillar, peeking out, and taking a shot. You can also wait until he turns around because he does patrol. This one, you want to kind of look at where he is using the compass markers so you can be prepared to shoot him. Ideally, you want to look at which direction the compass marker's moving so you know how to get behind him. Here, he turned around and was facing me right as I come around. As you can see, I got a crit. And he's still alive because he is a brute. Brutes will sometimes need 2 shots. So always be prepared to take that second shot. That enemy seems to always be either a brute or a centaur. In my experience at this particular level. Once again, if your levels are even slightly different, the spawning algorithm becomes very different. But the enemy count will always be the same. Now this enemy down here will sometimes be out of this door right here. He'll be in the doorway, slightly peeking out the doorway, or he'll be deep in this room somewhere. In this case, he was deep in the room, right back here. Once we come down these steps, there's going to be another mutant. Sometimes it will be standing right here, or somewhere immediately staring at this stairway when you come down. So always be ready for it when you come down this staircase. But sometimes it will tuck itself over here. Sometimes all the way back in that corner, so just be aware of that. Now this part is probably the most awkward part of the Jefferson Memorial. There is a super mutant back here, and there are 2 super mutants to the right over here. Once again, sometimes the super mutants will be replaced with a centaur and a super mutant, but the general thing still applies. This is a little sketchy. Depending on where this guy is. Normally you want to peek the right side first because most of the time the left guy won't be an issue, but sometimes he can be further down the hallway. So just kind of look both ways before you cross the street, make sure no one's directly staring at you, and then try and get to the 2 on the right as fast as you can. Here I come around the corner and get cautioned, so I have to back up a little bit. This can also be a somewhat okay strategy. However, you have to make sure that you hit your shots. And in this case, we have the brute kind of sprint around the corner. And not die because of a gun hit. Another example of why you have to be careful about shooting guns. We look at that one more time. You can see I take the shot. I get the sneak attack. But as you can see, it's done no health damage. Why is that? Well, that's because it hit his gun. Third shot missed, so he took 2 shots otherwise. You can sometimes get a little lucky with super mutant accuracy, but don't count on it. Once you've taken out those 2, come on over, take out this one. Once again, this is a decent stealth boy use location. I recommend using your stealth boys where you feel the most comfortable, or rather where you feel the most uncomfortable. The sections that you feel are the least consistent for you personally are the sections I would recommend using a stealth boy. We're going to have 5 of them in total for the run. So we definitely have the amount to use. This guy can be in a lot of different spots. This time he's run all the way around this corner. Sometimes he can be earlier in the room or in this doorway. I've had him as early as right here where I'm standing. So just be aware. Awareness, very important with the way the enemies roam. So just always be very alert. Once we've done that, we're going to head on back out, talk to Dad, tell him that everything's dead, wait another hour. That will put all of the NPCs into their proper positions. Go into the rotunda, talk to Dad, chat him up, ask him what we need to do. Once we do that, go downstairs to where this one mutant was hiding in the corner. There's a rat away there if you want it, if you care about the rat situation, or just want to make sure you don't get the radiation sickness pop-up at an awkward time. We're gonna hit that button, head back up to Dad. He's gonna give us the Megaton dialogue. If you decided to go to Tenpenny and blow up Megaton for funsies, he'll be yelling at you that you murdered an entire civilization. Ask him about the fuses, head on down. We're gonna walk to the hallway that we took out the last mutant in. Come over to the fuse box. There we go. Come over to the fuse box, throw them in, head back on up. I accidentally scatterbrained a little bit and walked up to Dad. You don't actually want to. You want to come to this door over here, which is right to the left of the entranceway. Hit the mainframe. You're gonna have to wait a second for this quest to update before you actually interact with the intercom. It takes a second. You want to wait until you get the completed boot up the mainframe pop-up, and then you can interact with the intercom. Once you've done that, head on up towards the entrance. Instead of going left to leave, take a right, head on into the pipes. Your game will probably crash in the pipes. Just be prepared for it. I recommend making a quick save in the pipes, because for some reason something about these pipes is incredibly unstable and your game will crash here eventually. Once you hit the lever, the Enclave will spawn and it's murder time. We're gonna head back through the pipes. When we get ready to exit here, you're gonna want to make sure you crouch and do not move. If you move, this happens. You can see I moved, and he will shoot you. So what you actually want to do is not move. You don't move, you wait till he gets behind that machine there. You can successfully crouch walk forward, and he will not see. Then we simply keep stealthing all the way up these stairs. Be careful aiming over these stairs. Stairs hitboxes are once again a little scary sometimes, so just make sure you're a little higher than you think you need to be. Wait for him to move around the corner for you. Take a shot. There we go. When you kill Enclave soldiers, make sure to check their bodies. They can drop stealth boys, and having extra stealth boys is always nice, assuming you're using. Make sure to also pick up their laser rifles and microfusion cells. We will be using those later as well. So it's nice to have a decent amount. There will be one more Enclave member to the right behind this machine. Gonna go ahead and take him out as well. Another level up. We're gonna get our energy weapons up to 90 this time, and then dump the rest into sneak now. We're gonna take thief again because it is still 5 sneak. At this level, none of these perks other perks really do much for us. If you wanted to, you could take Educated, but you really do not need the 3 extra skill points for level. You may as well take Thief and get 5 in a stat that you know you're going to use. Come up here, and you're basically just going to wait for this entire sequence. You know, someone gets shot, Liam Neeson, you know, explodes the reactor, all that fun stuff. Once Dr. Lee is over her emotional damage, she'll talk to you.
James.
You do need to have her talk to you here. Head on out. You'll want to use the other door. It's also important, NPCs, when they're on a scripted event, are a little awkward in Fallout 3. You want to make sure that you do not go in the door they're going into while they're in it, or they'll get a little confused. So wait for Dr. Lee to fully fade out before you go into Taftons.
What is going on up there?
And if you just walk forward, she'll
We're going to need
enter you into a dialogue. Make sure you trigger this dialogue. If you do not, she will not follow you, and you need her to follow you to open a door. Taft's Tunnels is a interesting section. Not too terrible, though. We're gonna go up here to this first door. You're gonna crouch right in front of it, watch the red tick. Once it disappears off your screen, the Enclave member has passed on that walkway up there, and you can simply sneak on by, and then run to the end of the hallway. Once you get here, you will potentially be in danger if something sees you in there. Don't worry, those Enclave members will not path out here. They're behind a fence. So simply come on over here, crouch in the corner, and wait for Madison to open up the door, which will take a varying amount of time. Sometimes she takes a while, unfortunately. Once you're through here, we have a nice little ghoul section. Ghouls aren't too bad. One shot with the alien blaster. Just be careful. They are fast. They can jump you relatively easily. Just be nice and calm. Take advantage of that nice stealth skill and blast them. There's one there. Then there's 2 here. There's also another one in this side room to the left. However, he won't always walk out. If he doesn't walk out, you don't have to kill him. Otherwise, you do need to kill him. Otherwise, they'll follow you into this section if you do aggro them, even though there's a lot. Now, this room is a little scary. There are 2 strats for this room. There's the Stealth Boy and Stealth Boyless strat. If you're starting out running this, I would recommend the Stealth Boy strat. This is a bit of a sketchy one without it, but I'll be showing both. So here is the Stealth Boy strat. Simply pop the Stealth Boy and crouch walk through the room. You'll go into caution, you'll hear some shots. Those are the Enclave shooting at the scientists, not you. So don't worry. Also, I don't know why there are 2 ghouls up here this time. I've never seen him path that far forward, but he decided to. And that can happen sometimes. Once again, showing the whole, you know, they like to wander. So that's the Stealth Boy strat. Here is the Stealth Boyless strat. You're gonna go over here, you're gonna walk up the stairs until you trigger Caution. Once into Caution, you're gonna immediately head back down the stairs. Be wary of Dr. Lee blocking you. Then you're going to wait until you fully get into Hidden. If you go back out there in Caution, it will be bad. So do not do that. You need to specifically wait until you're all the way back to Hidden, which can take a while. Once you're hidden, you're going to go back up the steps, and you're going to slowly walk back up. What this does is this moves the Enclave officers from their 2 scouting positions that they're standing in, and causes them to hunt. Once they're done hunting, they'll kind of meander around both over here, making you able to take them out one at a time instead of having to deal with both at once. So then you pop up. Bats is usually nice to set up your shot, take one out, and then the other, nice and easy. Ghoul 1. Ghoul 2. Ghoul 3. With this door, you want to kind of hit to open it and back up a little bit. The ghoul can be right on top of the door. This time he's pretty distanced. This one, though, is really close on the left. Just be careful. There's the two there, and then there's the third that will sometimes walk out of the room, but not always. If he is in the room, you still need to kill him, because he will aggro as you walk by. Walk over here. Door does not open if you hit the door, so you have to hit the switch, and now you are in the safety of the Brotherhood's loving embrace and hoarding of technology. After that, pop out of the ladder, and we're going to immediately fast travel to Rivet City to repair our gun, because in case you didn't notice earlier, we did get a condition warning, and it is quite low. If you do not repair it before this next section, it will break in Vault 87. That is very bad. That will kill your run, and it has happened to me before because I forgot. If we look at my original run footage, you can see that I have it specifically marked in my splits to repair it because I forgot. We're gonna come up to either flak or shrapnel, whichever one is currently out. Either way, any of their dialogue will work to give you the repair option. It won't show up at the beginning. If you don't have enough money to repair it at the moment, sell those stim packs. That's what we got them for earlier, to make sure that we have enough money for this. So just find the stealth stim packs, sell them. That'll make sure you have plenty of caps, along with the caps from the Rusty Lantern. I forget the name of the bar, but the bar in Megaton and the reward from the bomb. Should give you plenty of caps for that repair. Doesn't put it in great condition, but good enough for what we need. Fast travel back to the Citadel. Dr. Lee will have finished her dialogue. Simply walk up until you get the XP, and then fast travel to the lamp. Gonna continue to pump Sneak at this point. And then go ahead and take Bloody Mess. Because Bloody Mess is fun, and it's hard to say no to 5% extra damage. For Little Lamplight, this is why we took the Child at Heart perk. Normally, you either have to pass a quite difficult speech check or complete a quite scary quest in order to get into Little Lamplight. However, with Child at Heart, you simply pick the Child at Heart dialogue option right at the top there and head on through. We want to talk to MacCready because we want to ask him about how to get in the vault, so we can get Joseph marked on our quest marker here. Joseph can be a real pain to find in Little Lamplight. He likes to run around and be in different spots every time, so having an actual quest marker to figure out where he is very helpful. In this case, he was very nice and was just right here. I didn't notice him at first because I didn't think he would be here. He usually tends to hide from me a little bit. Anyway, we want to ask him about the vault and ask him to unlock the terminal. Once you've done that dialogue, you can run straight to the terminal. You don't have to wait. Well, you will have to wait for him, but we'll hit the wait key when we get there. So we just walk through the cavern. Here. I'm going to show this pathing just because Little Lamplight can be a little confusing to go through if you haven't gone through it too many times. Like, specifically the Great Cavern, or Great Cistern. I can't remember what this exactly is called off the top of my head right now. We go over here. This is where the back entrance to Vault 87 is. Be aware of these physics objects. In general, do not jump on physics objects. They can obtain speed from player collision that can then cause them to hit you. Quite literally, they will travel fast enough to where they'll gain a damage hitbox and damage you. It's not good. So be very wary of physics objects. Those barrels are kind of the first ones we really have to worry about. Here you're going to see me do the brute force method of going through a terminal that we mentioned before, of just picking the first 3 words that you see. If it doesn't work, close it. You do want to watch if you get like a massively accurate one, just so then you can kind of pivot But once again, don't use your last try or you'll be locked out of the terminal. Eventually, you'll get what you need. So, with the lab outfit and the 45 science, we end up with enough for the advanced terminal. Now, just before we go through Vault 87, we're going to take a quick detour into Murder Pass, actually. Right at the end of Murder Pass, there is a stealth boy. Speaking of physics objects, those corpses that I just walked kind of in between are an example of a physics object that tends to hit you. Be very careful walking over bones. They love to accelerate randomly. I've definitely been hit multiple times by the skeletons in 87. 87 is probably the worst offender in my experience in Fallout 3 when it comes to physics object hits. With all of the skeletons on the ground in the beginning bit here. So you can see I'm kind of pointing them out here. They're all along here, and you want to be as careful as you can not to run directly on top of them so that they do not physics up into you and hit. Vault 87 itself, there's going to be 2 super mutants around this corner. The one on the right is a brute. So you want to take him out first, because the sneak attack will one-shot him, and then take out the other one. Then there will be one more in this sector, who will sometimes be all the way down at that doorway, depending on your timing. Once again, you'll notice me moving so I don't hit the legs. Be very careful of physics objects hits in 87. Another mutant here at the top of the stairs. Bloody mess. These ones specifically have hit me as well. Very careful. We're going to dump into Sneak the rest of the way. And after you're done finishing Sneak, you can either just say, screw it, I don't want to wait till the energy weapons bobblehead and finish your 10 energy weapons, or start dumping into Speech, which is what I would recommend. If you use VATS, you can take Gunslinger. If you don't use VATS, I would recommend at this point taking, taking Intense Training and putting a point into Charisma. We do have some speech checks later that while we don't need to succeed them, succeeding them does make things nicer. There's a super mutant walking across this catwalk. Once we go through the door, we need to watch for where he is. Take him out. As we come up these stairs, there's going to be a super mutant all the way at the end of the hall. Simply come up the stairs, take a nice shot. Now, this section can be a little janky, and this is why I did the stealth boy motioning a second ago, because this is another very good section to use a stealth boy for. Up here is a event trigger. Now, event triggers, to briefly explain, are situations where, regardless of whether an enemy actually has vision on you or not, the game will trigger them to run to a specific point, usually around where you're going to be standing when you trigger the event. Fallout 3 uses these quite a bit in the DLCs. This is one of the few that we're going to be dealing with in the main game run here. And it's going to spawn 2 brutes out of 2 doors on the other side of the atrium here. So as you can see, there's 2 doors, one right here, one right here. Once we walk through the door threshold, both doors will open and 2 super mutants will run out, one out of each door. No matter whether or not you're seen or not, that will happen. So you have to be very ready for it. Once again, I'm showing the stealth boyless strat. With a stealth boy, this is a lot comfier. You can just trigger them, shoot them, one when it walks out, shoot the other, and it's not too bad. But without a stealth boy, you want to walk up, trigger it, shoot this guy as he walks in. Unfortunately, I hit a gun there. Once again, gun hits. Very careful. Take him out. The other one will be over there. Gun hit. Very awkward. Those are enemies that I would honestly recommend vatsing. if you're not comfortable or think you're going to hit a gun hit like I did there. There's going to be 2 mutants over on the right here. You want to peek over, shoot the one on the left first, then shoot the one on the right. We sneak through here. There's another event trigger that causes a super mutant to run into that room and stare out that window. So you can simply pop him just like that. Then pop through this door, on up the steps, and into the test labs. Be careful, once again, of ground skeletons. Them environmental storytelling skeletons hit different. And by hit different, I mean end your run. When you come around this corner, on the right, there is going to be a centaur opening a door. Its progress out of the door varies depending, but it will always open this door, so you'll want to watch for it. Sometimes it's already out, like this. Sometimes it's still inside the door, so you want to just take it out like that. At the end of this hall, there is a super mutant behind this door here that you can see the door opener for. Sometimes the door will be shut, sometimes it will be open. However, if it's shut, you want to open it, kill the super mutant. Otherwise, watch as you go around the corner, and if it's open, pop the super mutant. I recommend just crouching through here. Aggroing some things can be a little weird in here. We're gonna go by Fox. We don't have to talk to him right now, but we will be using him in just a second. Go down this hallway here. There are 2 super mutants in this room, one on the left, one on the right. I recommend going into this corner, watching the map compass, open the door, shoot the one on the left, walk around, and pop the one on the right. Then we're going to hit the fire alarm. If you shut the door and then hit the fire alarm, the door opens back up. You can shut it again, or just, you know, only shut it once the second time. Because this will open every single locked door in the test labs, including ones with enemies behind it, as you can hear them fighting. I would give it just a second for the enemies to finish fighting, so that you only have to deal with one. Usually the one you're going to have to deal with is Sid, and he'll be running away from you by the time he's killed the centaurs. So just go ahead and take one shot, and goodbye, Sid. Once that is done, we're going to get the best companion in Fallout 3, Fox. Now, we're not actually going to be using him as a companion for the rest of the run or anything like that, but for this section, we are going to be using him to get the Gek, and taking advantage of the fact that he is quite strong. So you do need to stay next to Fox for him to continue to path towards the Gek room. However, this section is relatively chill as long as you don't overextend. Recommend pulling out one of the laser rifles you got earlier here and using it to support Fox rather than the alien blaster in order to not waste ammo, as Fox will be holding the aggro for the most part. This also shows you how good the alien blaster is compared to a conventional energy weapon. So you pretty much just want to path through here, follow Fox through the section, walk slowly behind him. He will go through all these doors. Just going to speed through this real quick because it is very simple and just following Fox the whole way through. Once we get to the end, ask him to get the Gek. Then you can watch his progress through this little window. Wait for him to get it. He'll give it back to you.
Here's that, as promised.
And then head on back the way we came. Once we get back... Ooh, sorry about that. Once we get back to the room at the base here, the Enclave will ambush us. Drop the flashbang in the room. Like that. Go through a small cutscene. This is a good time to go to the bathroom. When I was recording this, I did. So, it took me a second to get back. you're going to just hit all of Autumn's top dialogue options. Once again, I went to the bathroom during that. Hit all of his top dialogue options. Sit through Eden's dialogue here, and we're going to grab our stuff out of this locker. Now, this part is a little scary. This can go one of two ways. Because there is a Enclave officer out here who will immediately encounter you when you step out of the doorway. When I say immediately, I mean immediately. This level, you don't need much of anything. You can get the speech boost, or you can take intensive training for more prison. So you can see we can't even see him, and he's already triggered dialogue. You have a speech check here. We don't have a lot of speech. We don't need to pass this. In this particular attempt, I do. If you do pass it, you're gonna walk forward into this hallway and wait for him to do his dialogue. Watch the red compass pips. They will turn green. When they turn green, you can advance forward. If you are unsuccessful in the speech check, if you are unsuccessful in the speech check, you are going to back into the room and wait for him and another Enclave to fight. As you can see, speech check fails. We back up into the room and close the door. Gonna wait for them to fight. They'll shoot for a little bit. Gun for a little while. I was gonna say, once he starts going back left, I should be good. And yeah, as you heard there, you wait for him to go back left, because that means the guy has moved down the hallway and started turning. You want to walk forward into the trigger over here that causes Eden to start talking. Which is somewhere around this corner. I don't think it's actually audible in this attempt. No, it's not. But then you want to, just as before, wait until the compass pip changes color. Back to this footage. You can hear Eden this time.
Please do not impede her progress. Thank you for your cooperation.
You see the compass pip goes green. Then we're going to sprint through this first section. The re-aggro of the Enclave base is not on a timer. It is on a specific location, which is walking through that door. So we pretty much just want to sprint through and get to this next load door before they re-aggro, which is not very tight at all. This room is not bad at all. These Enclave scientists want nothing to do with you and will simply run, so you don't have to worry about them. Go through here, go to the right. Crouch before you open this door, because there are going to be two Enclave soldiers coming out of a room to a right. They are somewhat on an event trigger, but they don't work quite right. So they'll event trigger and open the door, but then they won't walk out all the way. So you can usually take them out one at a time like that. Open up this door, and there is the energy weapons bobblehead. If you want to, you can loot them for their microfusion cells and laser rifles. Once you go through this door, you do not have to worry, as these Enclave will get gunned down by the sentry bots. So just wait, go ahead and loot them. Head on up the stairs, go through President Eden's dialogue. Just go through the top option until you can leave, and then head out. Then walk up here. You do sort of want to be careful here. You can get caught by some of the strays here. But the Enclave also aren't programmed to shoot directly at you. Here, it's a little weird. This whole section's very weird and kind of glitchy. This is another spot that I'd say is a good stealth boy location. if you're having trouble here. However, this is very easily doable without one. You want to come around that corner. That's going to cause those guys to run out, because they're also on an event trigger. That's probably around where my character's at right now, if I remember correctly. Sentry bots will take care of the enemies, though. They're nice and easy. Don't have to worry about it. They have laser pistols, and those run on different ammo, so... Pop through here. There is an event trigger to blow up these guys that's a little weird. Once again, just be careful. If you can safely walk up to it, it will kill the ones on the right, and it's supposed to kill the ones down there. As you can see, this one lived. So once again, a little bit of awareness that you have to keep. Just be careful. As you walk up here, and I was a little freaked out by this guy living, because he's not supposed to, that I forgot to. You want to tuck into this corner. Go ahead and crack open that very nice third-person camera of ours, and watch the chaos unfold over here. There are 2 sentry bots on the left, and there are 3 heavily armed Enclave members. This guy, once again, this guy doesn't normally live, so he was in a little bit awkward spot. But the sentry bots will eventually aggro on these Enclave members, and the sentry bots usually win. I've had about 1 attempt where the sentry bots lost, and when that happened, I just peeked out and one-shot the last Enclave with an alien blaster shot, and you're good to go. You don't want to run past these guys necessarily you don't want to run past them without a stealth boy at all. But if you do have a stealth boy, be careful, as they do have a rocket launcher guy, and the splash damage from that can very easily damage you. Once you pop out, sometimes you can fast travel, most of the time you can't. So just run on out of the door. Head on over to the left. Hop down here, and that will put you far away enough from the Enclave to fast travel back to the Citadel. And for our final stretch of Take It Back. So we're going to walk into the Citadel, into the main room, sit through this cutscene, just go through the top option on Elder Lion's dialogue.
We're going to should be we had get what child
Completes the American Dream. As you can see here, I do the intense training for charisma and dump into speech once again. There will be one more speech check. Head on back out. And this is another section where stealth boys are useful, both in the beginning and the middle. First here, I'm going to show you, though, something you do have to be wary of in this section, and that is the scripted explosions. Now, on the surface, it feels like the scripted explosions are just screen shake. They are not. They will do damage if you stand in the wrong spots. As you can see here, I'm going to follow Liberty Prime, and I'm going to stand right back here, and I'm going to get hit by one. Not what you want. So it's very important that you take a very central path behind Liberty Prime. In general, you want to be near about where the Brotherhood is, not on top of any of the Brotherhood in case they get shot at, and definitely not on top of Liberty Prime. But generally, you'd rather be close to Liberty Prime than far away, as a lot of the Enclave shots tend to follow him rather than strike like directly on him. They kind of hit the sides of the path. The other thing you have to be aware of is that those explosives will trigger cars. The cars in the Fallout universe are nuclear, and they will explode quite viciously. That is why we've pulled out our laser blaster, and what we're going to use it for, actually, for this section, is blowing up cars. If a car gets hit slightly, it can go into a on fire state, which will lead to it blowing up later. You have to be very careful here to not actually get hit. The screen shake will always happen no matter where the explosion is. However, if it does damage you, that is it hitting. But if it's not actually doing any damage, then you're fine. If you're not sure, open your Pip-Boy, see if you're losing HP in your stats menu. Otherwise, you're fine. As you can see, we're kind of a little bit behind Liberty Prime. We're about at the distance where the Brotherhood is. be wary of the cars. If you think a car is sketchy, just unload into it. Like this one was on fire, but I'm like, is it actually blown up or not? So I loaded it with laser rifle rounds just to be safe. There's nothing you super need the microfusion cells for. After all, this is the final mission. So if you're unsure about a car, just unload into it. Just go for it. Rather be safe than sorry than lose a run in Take It Back. Although I would say this is probably the hardest split of the runs, so do expect to lose at least a run or two in Take It Back. Because there's a lot of weird stuff that can happen in this split. As you can see, we're just following behind, making sure to not go on the edges near the explosions. Liberty Prime will take out most of the Enclave, but not all of the Enclave. He'll sometimes just walk past some of them. So do be careful. Watch this overpass section up here, as sometimes one of the Enclave snipers will live Liberty Prime's rampage. Just have some awareness. There's a group of cars down here that you absolutely want to blow up. Because the Enclave will throw bombs at them in a minute, as you can see there, and the explosion radiuses can be mighty strong. So just take them out from a distance. You don't have to worry about it then, and it's nice and comfy. As you can see, you'll have some Enclave living. Just be careful. If you're using a Stealth Boy for this section, I'd recommend waiting until you're like halfway on that bridge back there to pop your first one. You'll probably want to be using a second one here too, if you're going to use Stealth Boys for the whole section. You won't quite make the whole section in one Stealth Boy. There's a late Enclave that spawns over here on the left. Be aware of him. Liberty Prime almost never gets him. There's another one that can spawn here, although Liberty Prime will sometimes get him, as has happened in this attempt. Once you're up here, you're usually fine to kind of run up to Prime. There is, you know, obviously the chance an Enclave lives and weirdly aggroes to you instead of Prime, so be observant, be aware, take it slow. And then for the final bit of the Purifier Rush, I'm basically going to show you this twice, because there's about 2 different ways to do every bit of this section, and so I'm going to show you all of those between 2 different attempts here. As you can see, I made the save here. The first one is, we're going to be going in loud here. We're going to wait for Liberty Prime to come on up here and take down the energy field. Now, the energy field, once it dissipates, does take a little bit for the hitbox to go away, so be aware. You're stuck here. It takes a second. Once it goes, you pretty much just want to run straight for the door. Make sure you don't walk too close to that vertibird, because that can still damage you from that explosion, but as long as you're far enough away, you'll be fine, and then book it straight to the door. Sarah will teleport in with you. Make sure that she responds to you. Sarah can get stuck in here, and it can cause problems. If Sarah gets stuck at the doorway, she will not teleport to the rotunda, and you will be soft-locked. So be very, very careful, and make sure Sarah is moving. Once you're in here, there are, I believe, 4 Enclave in this section. 2 in this front room, and then 2 in the back room. I recommend kind of crossing here, so that Sarah grabs aggro first, and then taking pot shots. You need Sarah to follow you, so you can't exactly tell her to fuck off. I think you can tell her to wait, but in this situation, she tends to do a good job of keeping the Enclave distracted. Just watch your visibility indicator for caution. If you're in caution, don't peek out. If you're in caution, you can instantly flick over to danger and get shot. So just be very careful when you go into caution. There we go. Take out the last one. Head into the rotunda. Now, with Colonel Autumn's encounter, there are two ways this can go. And once again, I'll show the second one in a second. This first one is going to be the speech option. This is why we started taking speech at the end and why we started pumping in charisma. For those of you who don't know, speech checks in Fallout 3 are a function of both your speech skill and your charisma. They are a percentage-based calculation based off of that, along with a couple other factors, including disposition of the NPC, which is affected by, like, some weird things and is invisible. It's the Oblivion disposition mechanic, but you can't do a mini game to change it. With that being said, you cannot guarantee the speech check very easily. And because of that, don't expect it to happen every time. However, always go for it. Because if you do get it, then you've gotten the run. And you don't have to worry about this final fight, which is very scary. So you specifically need to pick the right dialogue options for this. So let me go back and show that properly. Very important here that you say, give it up, Autumn, you've lost. If you tell him you don't want to fight, he says, I want to fight you, and the fight starts. If you say you're going to enjoy killing him, the fight starts. So tell him that he's lost. The speech check, as you can see, is only at 40%.
I am sworn to protect
And if
the
it
presidency.
succeeds,
I wouldn't
we can then run the intelligence checks all the way through, the rest of the way.
and what? Yeah.
Go through all of them, and tell him to just walk away.
Very well.
After that's done, just wait for Sarah to talk to you.
I guess I shouldn't be surprised that you.
Hello?
Dr. Lee,
Hello, is
it's
anyone
Sarah
there?
Lyons. I'm in the control
Dr.
room.
Lee,
We're both
something's
here.
wrong with
What's
the
going on?
purifier.
I've been monitoring the equipment remotely, and we have a serious problem. The facility has been damaged during the fighting.
And of course, the reactor is blowing up and needs someone to solve it now. You can either send in Sarah or do it yourself. If you do it yourself, the code is 216. And that's your run. Now, the second way of handling this, bonus fun physics bug included, is the slow and stealthy approach. Wait for Prime to dispel the barrier, go ahead and pop a stealth boy. You're pretty safe to wait until after he blows up the bird. You kind of want to pop it as late as you can. Then use that to get on over to the door. Now, when you do this, this seems to make Sarah glitch more often. I assume it has something to do with her getting confused if you're there or not, because you're crouching with a stealth boy when you walk in the door. So as you'll see here, Sarah's not going to follow me. If this happens, not a lot will work to fix it. As you can see, shooting her doesn't work, all that stuff. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to wait, which will unfortunately deplete your stealth boy. But if you hit a wait, that will fix her, seemingly. If you do have to hit a wait, you'll lose the stealth boy for this section. If you still have one left, pop another one. Otherwise, do the stealth boyless version of this section. And then if you do have the stealth boy, you can just walk on through to the rotunda. Now, the dialogue with Eden is scary. If you fail it, so this is very important.
There's no.
Here's what happens if you mess it up and you stand still. That's a laser rifle in your face. That's not good. Not good. I lost a run that way. That hurt. So here's what you actually want to do. When you're going into the dialogue, you're going to hold right while you're in the dialogue so that you immediately tuck into this corner the minute you exit the dialogue. all three of them will aggro Sarah, and you can stay in this corner and take shots at their back and clear them out nice and easy. And there you go. That is Fallout 3, any percent hitless. It's quite a lot. It's a very fun run, but slightly random and a little difficult. Lots of little random things and details that kind of just require attempts to get good awareness of. I hope this tutorial was helpful to anyone looking to potentially run this game. I'm always happy to hear about and see new runners of this game. It is a game I love quite a lot and have a lot of passion about. So thank you very much for watching and checking it out. If you have any questions about the run, about anything I've said in the tutorial, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will try to answer them to the best of my ability. I hope this gave you all the information that you may need to make attempts yourself. With that being said, thank you everybody so much for watching, and I'll see you with more hitless runs or maybe some more tutorials or something. I'm not sure. Anyway, thank you very much, and I'll see you then.